How's it going, folks? Craig Lawrence here from Dark Matter Toys and Collectibles for my second ever vintage toy review. Dark Matter Toys and Collectibles, 127 Ross Street in St. Thomas, Ontario, Canada. You can follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We have a group and a page on Facebook, just want to be clear. And by all means, please come visit the brick and mortar. Let's get on with this review. I think this is going to be a good one. I think it's going to get you pretty darn excited. So let's just jump back to the 80s again, similar to the last review, and we'll talk about probably one of the best toy lines still going today. And I believe it started in, I want to say around 1968, 1969, 1970. The original figures were in a 12-inch line. They came with a lot of accessories, and they were one of the first toy lines to really kind of pay attention to packaging. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, it's G.I. Joe, okay? And it's a very hot thing to collect these days. We have, 50-year-olds and 60-year-olds still collecting G.I. Joe. I personally do not collect G.I. Joe, although I did for a long time. I just decided a few years ago that I didn't have room in my house, and I valued my guitars maybe just a little bit more. But today we're going to talk about the art, as well as probably the two best figures ever created for G.I. Joe. So first things first, I'm going to unpackage one of these, and I don't mean open the package, I mean take it out of its acrylic case, because it is a bit of a holy grail. Now, if you're ready for this, folks, let me just throw this one right at you, okay? This is not a reissue, this is an original. Beautiful condition. Storm Shadow. For those that don't know, Storm Shadow was a Cobra character. He was a ninja. I would say probably the coolest figure. Maybe Destro was pretty cool. Cobra Commander's pretty cool, but I mean, come on, a ninja? And this is also going back to a time when the ninja was very popular in pop culture. So we had American Ninja movies, we had Bloodsport movies, we had Three Ninjas. I don't know if you remember those movies. They were great. So just want to show that baby off one more time. Now, who is his nemesis? I personally believe this character I'm about to show you is possibly one of the coolest toy characters ever created. He's up there with Wolverine. He's up there with, I mean, really, who can you compare this next guy to? Maybe Optimus Prime or Megatron. So I'm just going to put this back gently, and then I'm going to show you something just outstanding and simply amazing. I purchased this, I believe in 1982 or 1983 at a Woco in White Oaks in London, Ontario. And I believe my older brother actually bought me the Vamp for that Christmas because I was instantly hooked on this toy line. Again, let's go back to the packaging. These drawings, and a lot of them had Larry Hama behind them and other artists, brilliantly done. Now, this would catch your eye from a mile away if you were a kid. If you're walking through, the grocery aisle or whatever, I mean, you'd see this from a mile away and you would just run towards it. This is a very special piece. So this is a straight arm. Now, this character was blind and mute, so he could only hear. And he was the arch nemesis to Storm Shadow. And, I mean, they didn't have to do anything to this figure, just plain black. And he was probably the most wanted figure out of the whole toy line, and probably still is. There's been movies made specifically for Snake Eyes, which have unearthed a brotherhood between Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes, which I don't remember if that's part of the cartoon or not. The comics, what a great comic series this is. Now, this is a 9-back. Unfortunately, the proof of purchase has been cut out, but this is also all original. There we go, we got some good light there. We're still working on lighting and other things here, folks. Now, let me talk about something else that I think is very important if you're a collector and you're going to collect high-end things like this. So, I've already put Storm Shadow back in his acrylic case. Now, these things are wonderful. They prevent all kinds of damage, water damage, potentially fire damage as well. These can be purchased on Amazon. A lot of toy collector shows. Some toy shops actually have these acrylic cases as well. This is a bottom slot, so you slide the bottom out, you put the card in, you put the bottom back on, and I believe there's also back slot versions. One of the worst things I hear in my store, and I hear it almost every day, is, we lost our stuff in a fire, we lost it in a flood. This is potentially going to save that from happening. It'll also preserve it from children touching them and getting their hands on them and ripping that bubble open, and also from oil on your fingers and your hands. You can still display it, you can still touch it. They actually stand very well on a shelf, a lot more solid than leaning it up against something and potentially bending that card back. So this is a great option to display such a high-class figure. Now, another way to display your figures, if you have loose figures, which we're going to have fun with in a minute, the same sort of idea, the acrylic case. But this one is more suited for the file card. And then there's your weapons on the weapons rack, and then there's the figure as well. And this is a great condition figure. Let me see if I can get a bit of a close-up there for you folks. Pretty cool, huh? Alrighty. Now, because we have to have some fun, I decided to pull out two of the loose figures here at the store. And this one here is doing a ninja kick. And this one here is prepared with his Uzi and his... there we go. So, as a child in the early 80s, you would hear a lot of pew pew and judo chop, judo kick, right? One of the best action figure lines ever created. Really enhanced the imagination of children. I know I played with these things outside all the time, in the dirt, in the mud. I remember in the snow with the snowcat on Christmas morning, I believe, on the toboggan hill of all places. I wanted to see if I could get it to go off the jumps. Some of them may have not survived the BB gun. I think we've all done something like that, but just wanted to show you. And the other thing I remember doing is creating a zip line for these figures. So, you'd have Snake Eyes here, and you'd get a little zip line and you tie it from one tree to the other. Oh, this one's just so stiff, and he'd be hanging there and all the way down from one tree to the other. Those are the good old days, folks. Dark Matter Toys, 127 Ross Street. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or come on into the store, located in St. Thomas, Ontario. Yo Joe, Cobra.